Hello everyone, welcome to the Stoicism and Spirituality channel. We all make mistakes. Some are small and can be easily corrected, while others are deeper and seem to repeat themselves day after day, year after year. But why do we keep making the same mistakes? Why, despite our good intentions, do we fail to change certain behaviors or make wiser decisions? The Stoic philosophers, such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, have long reflected on human nature and the cycle of mistakes. They believe that self-knowledge and discipline are the keys to breaking this cycle. Today, we will explore why you keep making the same mistakes through the lens of Stoic philosophy, and how we can learn to avoid this vicious cycle with simple yet powerful practices of reflection and self-control. Example: have you ever wondered why, even when you intend to do things differently, you end up repeating the same mistakes, whether in your career, relationships, or health? What can the Stoics teach us to change this pattern? The cycle of mistakes and the lack of self-knowledge. Making mistakes is part of the human experience, but we often repeat the same mistakes because we fail to reflect deeply on what led us to make them. For the Stoics, self-knowledge was a constant practice. They believed that if we do not truly understand ourselves, we will be prone to repeating the same mistakes without realizing it. Epictetus said, "It is not things that trouble us, but our opinion about them." And in other words, the problem does not lie in external situations, but in how we react to them. If we do not understand our reactions, weaknesses, and thought patterns, it becomes very easy to fall into the trap of repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Example: you may notice that you always make impulsive decisions in moments of stress. If you do not take the time to reflect on why this happens, the mistake will be repeated. By understanding what triggers your impulsivity, you can start changing this behavior. The lack of reflection and ignoring consequences. The Stoics taught that constant reflection on our actions is essential to avoiding mistakes. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote about the importance of analyzing our actions and behaviors daily. The lack of reflection on what we have done and the mistakes we have made in the past is one of the reasons why we continue repeating them. When we do not take the time to reflect on the consequences of our actions, we fail to learn from our past mistakes. Instead, we fall into the same patterns, unaware of the importance of growing from these lessons. Example: after making a mistake at work, you realize that you did not reflect on how you could have done things differently. Instead of learning from the mistake and seeking solutions, you just move on, only to make the same mistake again later. Reflection is what prevents this from happening. Emotional control and the lack of discipline. Another crucial point emphasized by the Stoics is emotional control. Seneca wrote, "A mind dominated by emotion is more vulnerable to mistakes." When we are emotionally overwhelmed, our ability to make rational decisions is impaired. This leads us to make mistakes, especially when emotions overpower reason. For the Stoics, discipline was fundamental in preventing emotions from taking control. If we do not practice self-control and discipline, we end up repeating the same mistakes in moments of emotional weakness. Example: you may notice that when you are angry, you make rash decisions that you later regret. This happens because the emotion of anger is in control, not reason. The discipline of controlling emotions is necessary to prevent this from happening. The neglect of virtue and the pursuit of immediate gratification. The Stoics also believed that we often make the same mistakes because we prioritize immediate gratification over virtue and long-term well-being. The constant pursuit of instant pleasure, whether in relationships, consumption, or even work, distracts us from the principles that would lead us to act more wisely. For the Stoics, virtue meant living according to reason and higher values, which often requires patience, self-control, and difficult choices. When we neglect virtue, we fall into vicious cycles of repeated mistakes. Example: you realize that you frequently choose the easiest or most pleasurable option in the moment, such as procrastinating, instead of investing time and effort in something more rewarding in the long run, like studying or taking care of your health. How to break the cycle of mistakes with Stoic philosophy. The key to stopping the repetition of mistakes, according to the Stoics, lies in self-knowledge, constant reflection, and the practice of self-control. When we understand what motivates us, reflect on our past actions, and commit to virtue, we can change our behavior and make wiser decisions. The path to avoiding repeated mistakes begins with awareness. Start practicing daily reflection, establish emotional control, and choose to live according to the principles of reason and virtue. No matter how many mistakes you have made in the past, what truly matters is learning from them, breaking the pattern, and moving forward with greater wisdom. Example: you begin setting aside time each night to reflect on your daily decisions, mistakes, and what you could have done differently. Over time, you become more aware, and as you recognize patterns, you start making smarter and more controlled decisions. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, share it with someone who could benefit from this reflection. Remember, mistakes do not define who you are, but rather what you do to learn and grow from them.